Can fix it. Okay, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Direction to YouTube. Fix it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Let's see. Okay, great. Thank you, one and all. Figuring some things out I haven't done live in a while. So I had to make a couple of adjustments. Last time I did, there was some lag and pause on all of this. And then there was a whole thing with not being able to view it entirely. So I hope that I had it all figured out. In any case, all is going well out there. One and all, this is a new segment I'm going to be adding on to the mix now that I'm getting back into my postings. I've taken a little bit of a break with everything that's been happening here on Maui, and there has been no shortage of things happening here on Maui. I had made a lot of my postings on different social media platforms specifically geared to what was happening here and what continues to happen. However, now that I'm getting a little bit more spaciousness, things are, I won't say they're settling down. However, the urgency and the immediacy of the response that I had before has shifted. Lots of important things that are happening. However, now we're transitioning more into like the long-term effects of the aftermath of the fires here and the different happenings on island. So with that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this concept of it's coming into and through right now, which has been sitting on my back burner for a while, which is facilitating conversations around parenting, specifically fathering. Now, when I say fathering, though, it's not necessarily specific to men, right? As a single parent myself, there are parts that I play wearing, more than one hat, father and mother, and what exactly that means, because those roles and the identities that we create all around that is drastically and dramatically changing, right? Previously, when I was growing up, father was simply a provider, someone who provided safety within a house, money for the family, the ability to a certain degree to make certain choices because there's a financial stability there and capacity. A mother was a nurturer, right? Was someone who provided emotional comfort and support. Now, that dramatically and drastically changed because I was raised by a single working mother. And so she had to wear those hats as well. Father, in terms of those parts of provider, also disciplinarian, things of that nature that we more associate with a masculine, as well as the archetype of mother, caretaker, someone who was available emotionally for the support of her children. Now, flashing forward to now, as a single dad with two boys, there's a certain symmetry there that's not lost, right? I was one of two boys being raised by a single parent, and now here I am, more or less, a single parent raising two boys. And so, especially in the last few weeks, that has been challenged. I sprang into action when things happened here on Maui, more so from the perspective of community. And as a dad who's been very much involved with my children all around from those roles of nurturer and provider, it was something that I hadn't been as attentive to. Now we are just passing 1 month since the wildfire that sparked here on island. And as things now begin to transition overall, one of the things that I really want to talk about are a lot of these experiences that I've been having and continue to have as a parent and someone who is attempting as best as I can, day to day, moment by moment, to consciously engage in the process. Because with my children, at 5 and 8, I'm role modeling for them. right? They're emulating me as the parent. And this goes in terms of how I am being, to the things that I'm doing, to all of those things. There are moments when I hear them talking and I'm like, oh boy, that's what I sound like, because that's where they got it from. And so as we transition here on an island, I feel that it's important because for me, we're coming to the end of this tower period. That tower period in the tarot is, if you look at the card, it is this large medieval tower, usually, that's getting struck by lightning. Fires coming out, people are falling out of the tower. I mean, it's really pretty dismal. What it speaks to, though, is a change, a challenge, and transformation. Well, the opportunity for, at least, to transform the very identity that we have held for ourselves. I was texting with a friend, used to be a client, and she was saying that she's going through these changes, right? Of getting the roles that she occupies and the person that she is kind of confused. And that happens. Roles and identities, right? We can identify ourselves via the roles that we occupy. Now, what's dangerous about that is that when that happens, we can see a very challenging movement as we begin to change who it is that we are. And what that means is when my mom, years back, had one of her tower periods, her job had changed dramatically. One of her parents and her brother had passed away, all within the span of about a year. And when that happened, things in terms of her as this job, as this career, as this role, the role of sister, of daughter, these things that are so intricately tied into our own identity, that when we see ourselves as specifically this, something outside of us, right? Something we've externalized, when that's challenged, all of a sudden we can lose our stuff, right? And so it was a difficult time for her. It took years to go through that process. Similarly, when I first moved back to Maui in 2016, I had a business, a nonprofit, was very involved in the community on the island of Oahu. And in moving, none of it was really transferable. Moved to Maui, and in one fell swoop, in the span of a few days, I went from all of those roles that I had occupied into a stay-at-home dad. Now, difference being that I had begun to really see myself for who I am, the being beneath the behaviors, presence behind the persona. And so when that happened, it was actually an incredibly positive experience because I got to explore more of these parts of who I truly am. Go through these phases in our awakening process, multiple awakenings, all about different parts of our lives. And as we go through this area of the initiation, where we see an abrupt change and or challenge to our own identity, this would be our tower period, begins to crumble, if not just explode, then we go into a reckoning. And this reckoning is our opportunity to make choices, to take responsibility, to now decide into doing and or being someone or something different. When that happens, then we go into that emergence. And that emergence stage is when we're just in this openness, this state of allowing, this stage of curiosity. And that's effectively what had happened as I transitioned to Maui. For my mom, it was a little different. Her identity was so deeply ingrained and entangled with these roles that she occupied that when that happened for her and that point of reckoning, choosing to transition or into something new, went back into holding on to that. And that can be familiar for us. It's something and someone that we know, often that we've worked very hard to create. Now, the thing about it is, in terms of this concept of the Allfathers Network, it's really looking at the archetype of father. Now, again, that's not specifically to men, though for me personally, that's where I'm focusing my attention upon. So the intention is to have conversations, reflections, just kind of sharing things that are happening here, because the last few weeks have shown me, I have shown myself rather, that being a dad's really important. Want to come over? This guy's home today. Ugh. So he's not feeling so well, huh? Just got up from a little nap. And part of it is that I recognize that I kind of keep all these things apart and separate, you know? And so I want to be more integrated in my own life. And so it begins with me. And so I'll be doing and adding this segment in the Allfathers Network, which will really just kind of be sharing about different things around fatherhood, around parenting, my own process, and endeavors to be a conscious-minded parent, and specifically a conscious man with the privilege of raising two young boys. Huh? That's my cue. Working on, what are we working on today? What are you just working on? Sure. Doing a storyboard for our next, what is our group called? Can you say it louder? Tengan Gang. So we're going to be working on the Tengan Gang, our video. Penny is the director for this month. So he's working on his storyboard, drawing it out in a comic strip, and I'll come and help you. All right. That's it for now. Love and aloha. Take care and ahui ho.